You walk into someone's home and immediately know this person has it figured out. No smell, no clutter on the counter. Everything feels calm, even though nobody's actively cleaning in front of you. Then you get back to your own place, open the door, and there it is. That familiar smell you can never quite name, but it's always there, and you're the only one in the house who can't smell it anymore. The difference isn't how much you clean. It's a handful of specific habits Japanese households follow almost automatically, and that most of us break every single day without knowing they exist. Today we're going through 7 of them. Number 3 is why you can never smell your own house even though guests notice it the second they walk in. And the last one is why your pillow starts smelling off after just a few days, even though you never touched it. Rule 1. Laundry comes out immediately, not an hour later. In a Japanese household, laundry gets pulled out the moment the cycle finishes. The drum lid stays open between washes so the inside can dry, and the machine gets a cleaning cycle roughly once a month. In most homes, the load sits in the machine until we remember it, sometimes for half a day. Think about the last time you opened the washer a few hours after it finished. That faint sour smell wasn't your imagination or the detergent's fault. A machine that stays closed with moisture trapped inside is basically a perfect breeding ground for mold. Warm, dark, damp. What you assumed was detergent that didn't rinse out is actually mold quietly building up inside the rubber gasket and around the softener tray, spreading a little more onto the fabric with every wash instead of less. Fabric softener makes this worse. It leaves behind residue that becomes food for exactly the buildup you're trying to wash away, which is part of why it barely exists on Japanese store shelves. The fix doesn't need a new machine, just different timing. Pull laundry out within 10 minutes of the cycle finishing. Leave the lid open when the machine isn't in use. Once a month, run an empty hot cycle with a cup of white vinegar. Try skipping softener for a few weeks, and see if the smell you've been blaming on your towels disappears on its own. Rule 2. Outdoor clothes never touch the bed. A Japanese home is treated as a sealed system. Nothing that hasn't been dealt with at the door goes any further. That's why shoes come off, but so does your outdoor clothing, within a minute or 2 of getting home. Most of us take off our shoes and think the job is done, then sit on the edge of the bed, or lie back on the comforter to scroll our phone, still in the exact same pants that spent the day on an office chair, a bus seat, a restaurant bench. Everything those surfaces left behind is now pressed into the fabric, and that fabric just touched the bedding you'll sleep in for the next 8 hours. The surface that suffers worst isn't even the one you sat on. It's the pillow your face lands on later, because whatever was on your hands and clothes is now inches from your nose all night. The reasoning is simple. A shoe on the kitchen floor and outdoor pants on the duvet are the same category of problem, just at different stages. Keep a set of house clothes on a hook by the door and change before you sit down anywhere. It takes about 40 seconds. Rule 3. Airing out the house isn't optional. Japanese households open windows on opposite sides of the house 2 or 3 times a day, about 15 minutes each, regardless of season, winter included. Most other homes open windows occasionally, whenever someone remembers. Here's why you can't smell your own house. Your nose stops registering a constant smell within minutes of exposure. It's built to flag changes, not constants. So any steady smell in your home basically disappears from your own perception within the first few weeks of living there. The sources never stop, though. Damp towels, drains, trash cans, cooking oil settling near the stove. You've just gone nose-blind to all of it. The usual response is layering a new scent on top, a candle, a plug-in, and because your nose only reports change, you go nose-blind to that too, eventually reaching for something stronger. You're not deodorizing anything. You're paying to make it harder to notice what's actually there. 15 minutes of cross-ventilation twice a day physically pushes the stale air out, instead of masking it with a competing smell. That's the entire difference between an odor that disappears and one that just changes shape. Rule 4. Surfaces stay empty. In a Japanese kitchen or bathroom, bottles and tools hang on rails or magnetic strips. Nothing sits directly on a wet surface for long. In most homes, the shampoo lives in the corner of the tub, and the sponge sits in its own puddle by the drain, in the same spot for months. Anywhere an object rests on a damp surface, a thin film forms underneath it. Soap residue, water minerals, dead skin, the start of a microbial layer. That's the gray ring you can scrape off the base of a shampoo bottle after a couple of months, usually worse under the soap dispenser and toothbrush cup, since those get touched by hands that go straight into mouths. The logic: a surface you can't lift something off of is a surface you can't actually clean, and a wet surface trapped under an object is exactly where a smell starts. Put a hanging bar in the shower, mount the soap dispenser on the wall, swap the toothbrush cup for something wall-mounted. Every object lifted off a counter is one less place for a smell to hide. Rule 5. Floors get wiped before they get vacuumed. This sounds strange until you hear the logic. In a Japanese household, floors get dry wiped first, then vacuumed, both within an hour of waking, before anyone has walked through the house. Dust doesn't live on your floor during the day. It hangs suspended in the air because every footstep kicks it back up. Only overnight, once nobody's moving, does it finally settle. So the one window it's actually catchable is the first hour after waking, before foot traffic stirs it up again. There's a second detail. A vacuum's exhaust throws some settled dust back into the air too. Running it straight over the floor without wiping first just resuspends part of what you were trying to remove. Vacuuming Saturday afternoon, after a full morning of walking through the house, mostly just stirs dust that's been circulating all day. Wipe first with a dry cloth, vacuum second. Do both in the morning. That's the difference between removing dust and relocating it. Rule 6. Small tasks get folded into what you're already doing. There's a Japanese principle that roughly translates to, while you're at it. The stovetop gets wiped while the kettle boils. The faucet gets wiped while you brush your teeth. No task ever grows big enough to need its own slot on the weekend calendar. Most of us do the opposite. Let the stovetop cool, let a drop of sauce harden into something that needs a razor blade, then spend Saturday morning scrubbing buildup that would have taken 30 seconds a week earlier. Heat and moisture make grease release far more easily. A stovetop wiped while still warm takes a paper towel and 30 seconds. The same stovetop 3 days later takes a scrubber, a chemical, and much longer. This was never really a discipline problem. It's a physics problem turned into one by waiting. The entire reason a big weekend cleaning session exists is that 30 seconds got refused every day, and that debt eventually gets paid off in one long sitting. Keep a cloth near the stove and another in the bathroom, and wipe while you're already standing there. Try it for a week, and Saturday starts feeling like a formality. Rule 7. The sink doesn't go to bed dirty. In a Japanese home, the last task of the night is emptying the sink completely. Every dish washed, the strainer emptied and rinsed, a kettle of hot water poured down the drain to break down the day's grease, and the basin wiped dry before anyone goes to bed. Most of us go to sleep with a plate still in the sink, a pan soaking for tomorrow, crumbs on the counter. The moisture sitting in the sink overnight is the main source of the smell around the drain, and food particles trapped in the strainer for 8 hours quietly start to ferment. A wet sponge in a wet basin overnight is one of the most reliable ways to grow exactly what you'll be washing tomorrow's dishes with. The Japanese thinking: the sink is where the day ends, not where the next one starts. If it goes to bed dirty, the whole kitchen goes to bed dirty with it. 10 minutes after dinner, non-negotiable: empty the sink, dry the basin, clear the counter, rinse the strainer, pour a kettle of hot water down the drain. You wake up into a kitchen that hasn't already started closing. None of these 7 rules are really cleaning in the sense of scrubbing, chemicals, or long weekend sessions. That's the whole point. Japan didn't find a better way to clean a dirty house. They found a way to need far less cleaning by never letting small things sit long enough to become big ones. You don't have to adopt all 7 habits tonight. Pick the one that sounds easiest, try it for the next 7 days, and notice what changes. Let me know in the comments which one you picked. If this video was useful, share it with someone who'd get something out of it, and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching. See you next time.